Hello, good evening. Welcome to today's sociology orientation. I hope all of you are here. Okay, let's start. So, if you have ever looked around the world and have thought about different systems or different things you observed, maybe like caste system or about the inequality that is existing in societies, gender inequality, or about certain riots that is happening in our country or in the different parts of the world. So all of this, if sometime has stirred something inside you, I would say, then you are at the right place. Sociology is not just an option for you, that is the calling for you. So when I am going through this, let me ask you two questions. Just type in the chat, where are you from, which state you belong to. See, every society, every place has something around you that says sociology there, right? So let me hear from yours. Okay. And also one more question. Have you really decided about your optional? Have you decided about sociology, or are you in the process of weighing different optionals? Even if you belong to any of these two categories, I would say this session is built for you. No worries. Let me give you some 5 powerful strategic reasons that makes you think why sociology can be your optional rather than thinking it is just interesting. Okay, so let's see one by one. The first one I always say is that overlap, okay, that advantage you get when you consider sociology paper 1 and paper 2, specifically sociology paper 2. I would say anyway you have to cover all GS papers, right? So when you're covering GS paper 1, if you go through the syllabus, you know Indian society, or if you take GS paper 2 or GS paper 3, the portions relating to governance, welfare, schemes, and the essay paper, okay, you can directly see that in sociology syllabi too. You would be definitely relating with this when you're walking through the syllabus later. Okay. So I would say you are not actually studying something extra if you go for sociology as your optional. I would say you are studying smarter. Okay, that is the first reason I would give you to pick sociology. Then the second point I would say is, regardless of your current educational background or specialization, okay, you can easily relate to sociology as your optional or as a subject you would love to learn, because it's all about the society, it's all about where you are, right? You are every day or in your day-to-day life, you're coming across all the things that we are studying. So it's so relatable. Doesn't matter whatever your background, okay, education background be. So I would say if you can think about a concept, or if you can understand a concept and you can argue about it and you can write about it, then obviously this option is yours. It's about that understanding, okay? It's about understanding a concept, analytically thinking. That's all what this subject requires. No any kind of specialization of previous relation with this subject is not required when you're going for this as your optional. Okay. Then going forward, another important reason I would put before you is, if you go through the different years top rank holders, maybe within 5, I would say they have proven that sociology can fetch you that high score. It's not a gamble. So it's a proven scoring optional. Think about Hinadapi, or think about those of in the previous years who scored. Okay. Or Srishti. So you have so many people. If you've gone through the top 5 rank holders of the previous years, you would be able to know that. Okay. Then the next point I would give you is, this subject is not dead. It is always dynamic. Okay. It's subject that is always alive, and you can always relate it with the content that come in newspaper or the newspaper stories you read. Okay. Some days if you read about farmer suicides, or you say about Me Too, or you think about certain developments that is happening, or urban migration, or caste violence, I would say every headline is a sociology answer, or can be a sociology answer. So this subject is never static or dead. It's that dynamic, and plus your static knowledge gives you that power to have an edge in your optional. Okay. Then the 5th one, those are looking for something short, something easy, something I would say compact, then this option is yours. Because while comparing to different other optionals, the syllabi is really short and compact, and that is relatable too. Then so doesn't that give you solid reasons to think this can be your optional? Okay. So let me not stop here. Let me take you to the next slide. That is, if you really want to know about the sociology, then I would say you have to understand the sociology syllabi, right? Paper 1 and paper 2. Okay. So let me try to explain it to you one by one. First of all, we are going for paper 1, and I would say think of paper 1 as your toolkit. Why? Because these are the lens through which you have to see the society, or these are the classes through which sociologists see the world. Okay. So if you can master this, or if you know these terms, I would say that becomes a frame for your UPSC questions. When you see UPSC questions, okay, this is the frame I've learned. Okay, I know this is from this part of syllabi, or this is how it has come. Okay, so this is like a toolkit, and this is going to help you every time. Okay, so let me say, if you take, I've written down the syllabi in short here. Okay, so first module, when you're going to first module, that is sociology, the discipline. That is how you want to see it. Like when you learn in this, you are actually seeing the origin of the origin of sociology as a discipline. Okay, and how it is related with other sciences. So you are trying to see the history of how the sociology has evolved, how it has evolved into discipline, how it is connected with different other disciplines. Okay, that is as simple as that. Then second module, that is sociology as science. Here you are learning. Can sociology be studied like a science, or is it a scientific enough, or is it about learning to study society in a scientific way, or is it not possible? So different viewpoints are discussed here, okay, in this module, and mostly you would learn about the viewpoints like positivism and interpretivism. Okay, so one side may be saying that society can be learned like a science, and the other side may be saying it cannot be done exactly like that. Okay, so it's that different viewpoints you have to learn in this second module. Whereas coming to the third module, it is research methods. And I believe whenever you have taken whichever degree you have completed, but you would have in any subject as this module, research methods, right? So here also you would be learning about surveys, like what are the different kinds of research methods used in sociology as a discipline. So about different methods, like how it is done, interviews or surveys, participant observation, direct field study. So all those different methods are learned, how it is done, or what are its challenges, or what are its positives. So all that is within this third module. Then moving to the most important module, I would say that is the fourth module, which is about sociological thinkers. This is where you would learn the foundation of this optional, that is the thinkers. Oh, these are the pillars on which you have to build everything. Okay, so that is, you would be studying about the most prominent sociologists here, like Weber, Mars, Durkheim, Parsons, Merton. So this, I would say, if you take this module itself and if you can learn it and understand it, I would say this can fetch you really around 60 to 70 marks. Okay, so that is a great investment, this learning both module in depth. Okay, then coming to the next modules, it's about stratification and mobility. When you hear the term, maybe you may not be able to relate with it, but just think, break it down like this. Think about different stratas in the society, or different groups in society based on income or on economic parameters like class, caste, gender, okay, race. So these are different examples of stratifications, right? So we'll have to learn about it and the mobility within such groups in the society. Then I have listed all 6 to 10 modules briefly here, like work, you have to learn about politics, religion, kinship, change. So that means you would be looking into the power, you would understand what is power in society. Then about, when you learn about religion, you would be understanding the concept of sacred, what is considered sacred or what is profane, or sacred or profane. Then when you are learning about kinship, you would be learning about family. Okay, all these are something you all know, right? We are all living here amid all our social systems. So this is something you can easily relate with. Or when you learn about social change, you learn about different development theories. Then, so all these are certain concepts that you would learn in this paper 1, these modules, okay. And as I told you, the fourth module, that can be your best investment. If you get that module, I would say it is half done. Okay, so let's move to paper 2 syllabi. See, if you have anything, please do ask me. That means leave your comment on the chat. I would be checking on that. I'd be answering for your questions. Please feel free to ask your doubts? Okay. So we are moving to paper 2. I would say paper 2 is like your home ground. That means paper 2 is everything you've seen, you have experienced, okay, or you lived this. Now we are converting it into something that we can score, and it is also about what you're reading from newspaper. Okay, so we are converting all that you know into something that you can score. You would definitely relate it with me when I'm going through this syllabus. See, you have to learn about perspectives on Indian society. That means what was the different perspectives about Indian society. If I say Indology review, means from traditional Indian textbooks itself, what are the views or what are the perspectives on Indian society, what was written there. Then from colonial view, how Indian society was viewed, or what were the different views by nationalists on Indian society. Okay, then moving on to caste system and untouchability. See, you would be saying you can connect when I told you it's an overlap of different GS papers you are learning. So you can think about the reservation policy debates you have learned about different movements like Dalit movements. Okay, so you would be very much able to relate with paper 2. Okay, then tribal communities. So when you learn about, see, learning about PVTGs in polity, right, or displacement, or about forest rights, all this comes when you are actually learning this module, tribal communities. Then moving on to the next module, that is religion and communalism. This is where you would be actually adding to what you have learned in the previous paper 1. You have already learned something over there. Now you are adding the Indian perspective too, and you would be looking into religious minorities, the communal rights, or the secularism, okay, in our country. Then taking you to crisis of development, which is talking about, see, the environmental issues or the displacement or the rights of such people, then farmer distress, all this comes under this part. Then again we have something in the syllabus, that is social movements, where you would be easily able to relate because you have already learned in different GS papers like paper 1 and paper 2. See, women's movement, Dalit movements, or environmental activism. Even you can relate GS 3 also here. Okay, so again the additional highlight is every newspaper heading you read, in one way or other you would be able to relate it with sociology. Okay, you can consider it as a frame you can use to score in this paper. Okay, now let's move to the next slide. And as I told you, one of the reasons I gave you for opting sociology as your optional was this: you would be able to score high, that is 300 plus. Okay, I would tell you step by step why it is possible or how it is possible. Let me give you 5 such strong pillars, okay, that would be separating toppers from the rest. Okay, so I would say these are actually not tips, these are habits you can build. See, let me break it down for you step by step. First one, if you want, or how you can score 300 plus in sociology. First point I would focus is the thinker integration. Okay, that means it's not like you're stating something for a question. For example, a question asks about social change or about the society. Then instead of saying that society changes, okay, everybody knows society changes. even for every point, think about bringing a thinker. Thinker means, I told you in the paper 1, the 4th module, I told you which can be the foundation for all of your sociology, paper 1 and paper 2. So, in that module, you learn about different sociologists, or we call sociological thinkers. Okay, so bring such sociologists the perspective on what is asked. Okay, so when you're learning that module, it would be easy for you to think from that point of view and bring it. So if you want to score better, instead of saying society changes, see, I have pointed out here, you have to say, see, there is a prominent sociologist, Parson. Okay, Parson is a, when you are learning sociology further, you would understand he is a structure functionalist sociologist. Okay, or he belongs to a school. That means school means the different thoughts people are following. School of thoughts. You have learned. I think you can relate with the term school of thought. So he was the one who used to think in terms of positivism or positivist. So he used to see from the point of view of structure functionalism. So I'm just giving an example, don't consider it as a jargon, you would be learning it. So instead of saying like society changes, we are just bringing any of the thinker who are said about social change. Okay, so what we are bringing here is, according to him, social change is gradual and also it is system maintaining. He believed that for any change there is a purpose, or it is functioning for the society. It has a function, because he was somebody who belonged to structure functionalist or structure functionalism, that school of thought. Okay, this I'm just giving an example. When you are able to study about thinker, you would also be able to write like that. So it's about bringing the thinker in your answer. That fetches you extra marks. Okay, that is one point I would highlight. Then the second one, I would say, when you come up with your introduction, if we can bring in this, that is, you are basically defining the concept that is asked, and you are also bringing the theoretical part to it. You are trying to define it, then bring the theoretical part to it, and also you are trying to state the current relevance of the topic. That will give you the edge. Okay, so it's not like just starting something like, okay, since time immemorial. Okay, so it's not bringing cliches. It's about you're breaking down the topic in your own words, then thinking from the theoretical perspective, then trying to see its current or contemporary relevance. Okay, so this is how your introduction gets different and richer than the ordinary answer. Third one, I would say the diagram. Even for a 10-mark answer, if you can bring a table or a diagram or a chart, that makes difference. That gives your examiner, okay, that push to give you that extra mark, and even that breaks the examiner's reading fatigue, right? So we also teach you how to bring that habit of bringing a diagram for each of the answer you are going to attempt. Then the next one, it's about anchoring the current affairs to your answer. That means instead of just stating whatever you know, whenever you're stating something or explaining something, I would suggest you to bring an example or bring some kind of data point. It can be from the previous census, or it can be from NSSO reports, or it can be any government scheme. So a solid example can make that difference. Okay, So these are, don't consider these as some kind of decorations. These will fetch you that high score you are looking for. And I think that's not hard for you. Taking the case, every day you are updating yourself with current affairs, and that is obviously required for your preparation, which is bringing in it as example, and that will also make your studies interesting, not just the optional. Whenever you are preparing the current affairs for years also, whenever you are able to see the same thing through different lens or perspective, that matters, and then that can fetch you a high score. That obviously matters, right? Okay, then the last one I have pointed out here or put forward here is word economy. I'm not talking about economy or economics here. I'm talking about what UPSC rewards. It is precision. I would say consider two answers. One person is writing a 250 word answer with 4 thinkers integrated within it, with one diagram, with one current affairs example. Okay, that answer can fetch than a 400 worded answer. That is again and again repeating the same concepts or definitions in one or the other way. Okay, so that's why I've given here write sharp, write less, score more. Okay, write the relevant points in the required manner. That fetches you the score you are aiming for. Okay, so these are the 5 habits you would be learning with us in this batch if you enroll for this optional. Okay, so with that, I'm taking you to a topic, that is, you're going to learn a topic in this session for you to relate how sociology can be easy, relatable for you. Okay, I've taken a topic like patriarchy. This is from paper 1, stratification and gender. So this paper 1, or you can relate this under the module like stratification, also under the subtopic gender. So why have taken this topic? If you ask me why I have taken this topic, I would say this is a topic that comes in paper 1 theory, and also you can apply it in paper 2, where you can bring the Indian reality plus current affairs. Okay, so besides that, you can also bring your own experience, okay, that you have lived or you have heard or that somebody has shared with you. So I think this is that perfect topic you can easily learn, right? Okay, and also to give you that connection, how paper 1 and paper 2 is connected, and how you can bring current affairs or your own experiences to it. Okay, that's why I have taken this topic. So when you understand patriarchy, I know this is very familiar topic for you, patriarchy. I've heard it again and again from different contexts. Okay, so if I say the literal meaning of patriarchy, you would understand the rule of father, right? But patriarchy, what we are learning in sociology, it's not the literal meaning. Patriarchy is what we are learning is the system, okay, system we have in the society where the male is that gender is dominating, or how that has become a system in different systems you are seeing in society, like law, culture, okay, or family. So it's not about the man in the house or in your house. It's not the literal meaning. You're learning about the system that get embedded in our society, or how it has got embedded in our society. Okay, so that's how we learn one concept Okay, then I have also put forward certain concepts for you. Okay, now I told you it's not about the literal meaning, it's about how that upper hand is given for male gender in different systems, or how it is patterned and how it is affected the other gender. Okay, so here when you are learning about any such concept, you would also be seeing about certain thinkers who has written about it, their perspectives. So I think the best to bring here is Sylvia Valby. So Sylvia Valby has shown 6 structures of patriarchy in society. Okay, so Sylvia Valby is one of the popular sociologists, and the thinker has said that this patriarchy can be seen in 6 different systems, like household production, or about paid work in the society. Then you can think about the state. It is also evident through male violence, sexuality, culture and media. So she identifies patriarchy in society through these 6 structures, and again has classified it into private patriarchy and public patriarchy. That means patriarchy is visible in private space. That means like in your house, or like in marriages, and also when relating to reproduction. So how the system of patriarchy, it's how you can see it's ingrained in the home you are living, or different systems you are following, like that is marriage. Then if you take the public kind of patriarchy, you would understand about the work. Okay, so when you relate it to workplace, how patriarchy can be evident at workplace, how gender is preferred at workplace, or when coming to remuneration. Okay, you can relate to it. Then about underrepresentation when you take the case of politics. So underrepresentation of female gender and politics mostly. Or if you think about media, how female is represented, or the male gaze there. Okay, so I would say, so if you have any doubts in between, please leave your comment. Okay, I would be answering to that. Then see, so this is about the thinker's perspective, Sylvia Valby, talking about patriarchy, how patriarchy is visible through different structures in society, especially the private as well as public patriarchy. She has categorized into 2 also. Okay, then now let's understand the Indian context, and I hope you would agree to the point. Patriarchy is not uniform, right? It's not seen everywhere in the same intensity. Okay, so basically there is an intersectionality. That means in India it is not like you see at one place, like maybe you see at certain regions like a patriarchal society, but certain places it may not be that evident. Okay, so you would be relating it with, like, you would be clearly understanding it is actually going with certain other concepts also in the society, like it intersects with caste, class or religion. Okay, so it has such a complicated layers in the society. Sometimes it may deepen that patriarchy when it is combining with other systems already existing in society. Sometimes it weakens it, right? Okay, so we can say it is such layered, complicated experiences. It's not at all uniform. Okay, I'm giving you different examples. Think about upper caste women, or think about Dalit women. I'm giving you two different examples to make you understand, okay, how patriarchy can be experienced differently, but still how it exists in varied form. Okay, if you take upper caste women, it's not how they are oppressed by patriarchy, it's through protection they are experiencing patriarchy. For example, see, upper caste women, it is through marriage. Okay, for example, popular sociologists like Uma Chakravarti has stated about Brahmin or Brahmanical patriarchy. Okay, so where it said, see, it is about restricting the woman about this sexuality, or about the choices she can make. So under that, Chakravarti has stated, so it is the women who are the considered as the gatekeepers of caste, because they are not allowed to marry from outside their caste. That is endogamy. Okay, system where we are asked to marry within our own group or caste, that is endogamy. So Uma Chakravarti has said about such a system. Okay, so you can apply that here when you are thinking about upper caste women. The patriarchy is more about how they are protected, or how they are asked to continue that patriarchy in the society. Okay, in that way. Whereas if you take Dalit women, and if you also can relate it with how Ambedkar was, you think about Ambedkar, how Ambedkar used to say about, you know, especially double marginalization. Okay, that means when considering a Dalit women, she's actually experiencing that marginalization not only through the gender, it's also the caste, the class, because Dalit women may be not from that, you know, economically very high class. If they are poor, then they have to go for that class discrimination, caste discrimination, then gender discrimination. So that double or triple marginalization. So Ambedkar was who have expressed that view on that. So you can understand the difference between the patriarchy experienced by different sections of the society. Okay, that's why I have rightly put it here, patriarchy is not uniform. Okay, so let me also add some data to this. When we say about Indian context, patriarchy in Indian society, I think this example, the periodic labor force survey of 2023, that says women's participation is just 23% in workforce, and that can be considered as one of the lowest in the world, even behind many sub-Saharan countries. Okay, some African countries. Okay, so that shows how women is, you know, again pulled only into domestic labor, not into paid workforce. The unpaid domestic labor she is a part of. It can be a product of the patriarchy that is seen in Indian society. Okay, then this what you have learned, I will show you. This is just a concept you learned, but I have also picked this topic not only because it's there, you can see in paper 1, paper 2 or current affairs, or you can easily relate, but also because it is one of the favorite UPSC question topic. Okay, that's why I have included here. So it is also easy for you to see how UPSC questions comes, or you can relate with it. Okay, let's show you that. See, let's try to bring PYQ analysis on this topic. Okay, see the first question here. I hope we can see here. There was a 20-mark questions. Examine the relationship between patriarchy and capitalism. Then another consecutive year, there was a question: is there a relationship between caste and patriarchy in India? Another one: discuss feminist perspectives on gender inequality. Okay, so can you spot any kind of similarity or pattern here? What do you think? Any pattern? If you look carefully, I would say, see, you would understand that UPSC never asks you to just define what is patriarchy. Okay? It is asking you to relate it with different concepts. Like in first question asks you to relate with capitalism, then see next you can see relating it with caste, right? So in third question you can relate it with feminism. So it's all about that relational thinking UPSC is asking you, and that is a skill we train you in the class. Okay, and not something to by heart. It's that thinking, that skill. Okay, that is what is required out of you, and that is what enable you in the sociology sessions. Okay, so with that, let me take you to the next slide where I am giving a task. Okay, let's go for a live question. Let's go for a live answer writing. Okay, the question I've given here is: examine the relationship between patriarchy and caste in India. Can you try to answer this question? Just think about what you just learned. Okay, just 5 minutes back what I explained it for you, and also think from your own perspective. So what are the 3 important parts that are required in your answer or any answer? You would obviously agree with me. It is introduction, the body part, and the conclusion, right? So how would you introduce? The question is clearly asking you to examine the relationship between patriarchy and caste in India. That means maybe as a beginner you may go for defining each one of it, right? But is it better, or isn't it a bit more better if you can define that relationship first itself in the intro? You can think about the relationship. Okay, so when you're writing, think first of all, understand the key words in the question, try to answer to that. Okay, so understand its connection and answer that. So I would suggest you first try to introduce the concept, the relationship between patriarchy and caste in India. So how would you define that? You already seen that it's not uniform, or you can also agree with it, right? And as I told in any introduction, think about first explaining or defining the concept, then bring in that theoretical lens or perspective. Then think about its current relevance. Okay, so if you can do that, then you get a better intro for your answer. Then we have to move to the body, right? So here think about integrating the thinkers, okay, bringing in data or examples. And finally you have to come back to the question, you have to conclude, right? So this is how an answer is structured. You have to think from those three angles, bring in your ideas about the topic. So could you brainstorm something? Can I see something in the chat? What can be your points? Okay, so without wasting much of the time, I am just showing you an example of what I have written here. Okay, so as I told you, it's all about first of all stating what is that relationship between caste and patriarchy. So I've just stated like those are two independently powerful systems of stratification. Okay, and try to bring in this theoretical aspect. So I brought in here like, however, Ambedkar and Uma Chakravarti argue they are not parallel, they are interlocking, each enforcing the other. So I completely given the relationship here, so I could bring in the theoretical perspective of thinkers here and said that they are not parallel to each other, they are interlocking, each one reinforcing the other. Okay, then certain key points why I am bringing. See, I have just given you, we can bring in different thinkers or sociologists who are opining on the topic or who are expressed their views or perspectives on the topic. But as I have just explained about only two or brought in two thinkers when I was explaining, so I'm just taking their examples like Uma Chakravarti. I told you Uma Chakravarti's Brahmanical patriarchy, right? So I'm just saying about that as a key argument here. Uma Chakravarti's Brahmanical patriarchy says or states caste purity is maintained through control of women's sexuality. And again I am bringing in a sociology term here, endogamy, that is marrying within caste makes women the gatekeepers of caste boundaries. Then I am bringing in the example of Dalit women. Dalit women face triple marginalization, that is caste, class, gender. Okay, and I'm also, I've actually put another prominent name here who's talked about this intersectionality of different systems. Okay, I'm just showing as an example. I know you may not know the name and what it is, but I'm just showing an example how different thinkers, different perspectives, different ideas can be brought together. Okay, then I'm giving you some solid examples like car panchayats, honor killings, gendered caste labor, or how manual scavenging is done by people considered as the lowest caste. Okay, so how it is considered in the society, like it has to be done by people belonging to the lowest caste or they are fit for it. So we've given such examples here and just giving an example of a conclusion here, that is any feminist movement that ignores caste or any anti-caste movement that ignores gender remains incomplete. Okay, so I hope you got an idea how an answer can be structured and how a question can come from a topic that you learn. Okay, it's not about studying about that by heart something, but it's about understanding the concept, understanding the perspectives shared by different sociologists and bringing in it, and also understanding the current examples, how you can bring beautifully different examples that you have learned through current affairs. Okay, so this is what will fetch you, that if it is like a, if I say if it was like 20-mark question, this is like a solid 15 marks out of 20. So this is what we train in the class for every student have to write a structured answer that scores better. Okay, now let me also tell you about this batch. See, we are not thinking about, or we are not bringing forward a batch of 200 students. Okay, it's about our batch is promising a focused, highly accountable batch where every student is pushed to their ceiling. That means you are given such individual attention here, and you are asked to bring out your best, okay, which you might have thought was not possible when you're studying alone, but we give you the right strategies for that. We teach you the concepts clearly. Okay, so that's about this batch. That means the key components we offer in this batch is obviously full syllabi coverage. There is no skippage of any syllabi here. Okay, and we also look into the weekly answer writing or the daily answer writing. Okay, we make sure that at least you practice answer weekly, though we give importance to daily answer writing practice even within the class. So we are trying to give you that personalized feedback, okay, because it is that what matters at the end, right? So that detailed personalized feedback is one of our promises. Then test series, okay, unlike other batches where test series are considered separate from the optional, we are also including the test series with it, which means like after every module you would be having the test, then after completing the paper we would have that full test on that. Okay, so paper 1 and paper 2 you would get that test series experience too. Then obviously we would be diving into PYQ, at least minimum 10 years of questions we would be looking into. Okay, we will be discussing in every session at least a PYQ. Then don't have the fear of whether you miss a session, because we also have the recorded backup. Okay, if you ever miss a session, you would have the classes recorded that you can also watch when at your comfort zone. Then you also have me not as just your faculty but also as your personal mentor, because you would have that one-on-one doubt clearing. Okay, also we learn how that overlapping of different GS can give you better score in this optional as well as other GS papers too. Okay, all these are the basic points I can say about my batch. These are not just promises, these are the part of our batch. Okay, so I don't actually say it is taking 200 students at a time and going for some kind of mediocre experiences. I would say It's a focused batch where you would be pushed to your limits, and those are not the limits. Okay, so you would be getting that strategy, that clear idea of how to get or how to score that highest score in your optional paper easily, making each of those points that I told you, making it as your habit, and we train you to make it as a habit for you. So any doubts? Any doubts? Please drop your comments. Any doubts? I've already kept some points in the slide, like certain common doubts I hear every day. It's about, can a science student do sociology? I would say obviously yes, because why not? Because you have already learned to think in a structured manner, and that's what we require here in sociology too. As I told you in the first slides, okay, it's all about if you are able to really understand a concept, think about it, if you can argue about it, we can write about it, that's it. Then second common question that is encountered is the doubt of a student about whether I should go for self-study or coaching. Honestly, I would tell you, yes, self-study can help you to cover the topics, but it won't help you to come up with that structured answers, give you different perspectives that when you are in a class. Okay, and that is what gets you that edge to get that better score or 300 plus in your optional paper. So I hope the answer is clear. Then I think I've already stated how this batch is different. See, it's all about the personal attention you get, personalized feedback, the small batch size, and also it's not about a faculty who is just delivering some content for you. It's about being with you, okay, giving you guidance, giving you that personalized mentoring, doubt clearing, and being with you to get that score that you are aiming for. Okay, so with this 1 hour you felt sociology has called to you, then don't ignore that. Okay, if this 1 hour gave you some clarity, then think about what the coming months of sessions would give you, that strategized, energetic, or that personalized sessions for you, how it would help you for your preparation, right? So you can enroll now, or you can check for the details below in the description. Okay, for more details you can contact in the details given below in the description box. Then about start, yes, you can enroll now, because the early joiners obviously get more advantages, right, in terms of every aspect. Okay, so with that, let me tell you, see you in class. If anything, please leave a comment here. We'll be happy to answer your doubts or concerns. Okay, thank you all.